Alright everybody, welcome to the first video. For this video we're going to focus on layering, we're going to focus on blended layering, and we're going to focus on random layering. Okay, so for this first technique of layering, you are going to need two different colors. So it helps if you have two primary colors, or a primary with a secondary, so that way you can create a new color in the middle. So I'm going to do blue and pink, and that's going to create a purple color in the center. So this technique, it's really difficult for me to do this when you can't actually see my hand when I'm working on this, but we're used to holding a pencil just for writing, but in art you hold a pencil different ways. Specifically for this technique, if you hold your pencil more sideways, more horizontal, you cover with more surface of the pencils, not just the tip of the pencil, but it's also the side of the graphite. People think that the part that you write with is called lead. It's actually graphite. But when you hold your pencil horizontal, you cover more space, and it's much more. You get a much more even coat when you go to color. Also, it helps you to control how light and dark your values are if you hold your pencil closer to the eraser. Of course, if you're using a colored pencil, very few colored pencils actually have erasers, but I think you get the idea. So I'm going to start this one, and it's going to start with the light blue, and you push down relatively hard. And as I get to the middle, I'm going to start taking the pressure off my pencil so that way it fades. Okay, I'm going to go back in and get a little bit darker here and even darker at the corner. Okay, so it should look like it fades. Okay, so I am using a digital tablet while doing this. I advise that you use real color pencils because I have issues that pop up here and there because the pressure sensitivity isn't just as good as it is with a real color pencil. So please make sure you're using real color pencils. Okay. So make sure I'm grabbing the right materials again. I want this to be 500. Okay. So I'm just going to try to smooth that out a little bit. Okay, so you have a smooth transition from dark to light to white, actually, in this bottom right corner. Now I'm going to use pink, and while I color, I use the paper to my advantage. I like to actually turn my paper at this stage, and I'm going to start again where it's nice and dark. And as I get closer to the middle, I'm taking pressure off my paper. So that way the color underneath that's created is a purplish color. Okay. I'm going to ask that you guys try to keep it in the lines as best as you can. Obviously, I'm not staying in the lines, but I am going to go ahead and take an eraser and clean it up after, so that way my drawing looks nice and clean. Oops, a little too much right there. Alright, so that is our first example. Let me go ahead and rotate this. I don't know why this doesn't. There we go. Okay, so that's layering. So you can see there's some purple getting created in the center there. If you blended layering, again, this is really difficult to do when I don't actually have the proper materials ahead of me. But I'm going to use yellow and blue for this one. And let me go ahead and zoom out just a little bit, move this so that way it's easier for me. And I'm going to go ahead and color the yellow right inside this square. Let me just do that over again because I wasn't liking the way that was coming out. Okay, so try to put a nice even value down. Again, I'm going to clean this up at the end. Then I'm going to take my blue, and I'm going to go right over that blue. I'm going to go in the opposite direction, just so if I go in the opposite directions, it kind of hides these lines. So I'm going to go ahead and go in this direction. A little too hard. There's different pressures you can press, light, medium, and hard. And I'm coloring in light again. Okay. And now I'm going to go back over with my yellow. This is where the blended part is. And when you go over with the yellow, it kind of sandwiches those two yellows or two layers together, and it creates a greenish color. This is something that works a lot better with real color pencils as opposed to a digital medium. But again, I'm trying to record this video for you guys all to be able to see at home. Okay. All right, random layering is going to it's probably the one that's going to take the most time out of all these techniques. Now, when I do these techniques, I actually like to go ahead and color very, very, very lightly, so that way I have no white space showing once this is finished. Okay, so what I'm going to actually do is take my color pencil. I'm going to lightly, that pink is a little too saturated. Okay, I'm going to desaturate it, make it a little bit lighter. There we go. So again, the reason why I'm doing this is because I don't really want any white showing when I'm done. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and clean this up. And even though random layering is time consuming, it actually is my favorite technique. So what you need to do is make sure you have at least 2, no more than 3. You want to have really nice sharp pencils for this. Okay, and you want to use analogous colors. If you remember, analogous colors are colors that are neighbors on the color wheel. So they're colors that if you have a hard time choosing what those colors are, you can use the link to the color calculator from our lesson last week, and that'll help you choose 3 colors that work well together. All right, so I'm going to go ahead, and what you want to do is create about 4 or 5 lines next to each other like this. Okay, and now I'm just going to draw 4 or 5 more lines going in another direction, and then 4 or 5 more lines going in a different direction, and you just repeat this. Notice that they are all going in different directions or random directions because it is random layering. Okay, and you just repeat this process over and over and over until you fill up all that space. Let me show you again what the final example looks like. I'm going to hide this layer. Okay, so what you do after is, let me choose my second color, and I'm going to go in those spaces in between. Okay, it's okay if they overlap a little bit, like right here, those lines overlap. That's okay. And if I did a third color, like a reddish purple would work really well here, and I would go in the middle, in between those. Okay, so I'm not going to sit here and make you watch this entire one get filled out because, as I said, that one takes a very, very, very long time. But like I said, it is my favorite. And like I said, it will look like this when it's done. So use my example for help. If you have any questions, you can email me, but I'm going to go ahead and start the next video. When I start the next video, you'll see that this one's going to be light blue, this one will be light green, this will be yellow, only because I'm trying to save time. Remember, I color them lightly first just so there's no white space. Like right here, it might look like there's a little bit of white space, but if I get really close, you can see it's actually light blue. Okay, and again, that's just to cover up white space. All right, so that's what you'll notice when you see the next video.